Hello, friends. It's so good to see you. Before we get started today, I have a special message from my friend Jenny, and you're going to see why everyone loves Jenny Massini. Enjoy this.
Hello friends, this is Jenny Massini popping in to thank Holly and all of you for your thoughts and prayers. As many of you know, we lost our home to a fire during the storm surge of Hurricane Helene on Clearwater Beach. I was actually with Holly and some dear friends at the Dying to Stitch retreat, having left early that morning. Our home was destroyed and we lost most of our possessions. We've learned so much from since that time, and we've learned to let go and focus on what's truly important in life, our people, our family, and friends. God doesn't care what you have or even where you live. Your kindness to us has made such a difference. One of the fun things that happened was we made friends with the mailman, Kyle, who really felt like he was a partner in bringing happiness to our house by delivering all the ornaments. Once he understood what all those cute packages were, he was just thrilled and greeted us almost every single day. Each night we would open your packages at dinner time. My husband still can't get over how thoughtful you have been to us. Your ornaments are so beautiful, each one stitched with love and care. And the finishing techniques are incredible. I need to pick up my game. Our local stitch group was able to come here for a Christmas party. So about 22 of our local friends oohed and awed over each one. And they were just amazed by your kindness and generosity of your time and talent. It was helpful for our children and grandchildren to see us supported in such a loving way. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Know that each year, as we trim our trees, we will remember you in prayer. I didn't understand how this kind gesture of sending and receiving ornaments would be healing. But each day is better, and your support had such a hand in us feeling that way. I send you all love from the entire Massini family. Thank you.
Well, good morning. Welcome. It's good to be here, although I feel a little rusty. It's been a month or so, and a lot has happened. But hello, my name is Holly. This is my Flosstube. Hobbies of Holly is the name of it. That's where you can also find me on Instagram. And this is a place that I like to talk about cross stitch, knitting, quilting, and anything else crafty I decide to do. How are you all? It might be a little bit crooked. I don't know if this is gonna be my permanent filming place, but we're in our new home. The moving truck came January 23rd. It took 6 men, 2 trucks, and 10 hours. And we had been moving boxes all week that week. Let's see, that was on a Thursday, and we started moving boxes on Monday. Monday, I got my kitchen unpacked. Tuesday and Wednesday, I think I got the pantry and our closet moved and unpacked, and it still took all that time. And you know, most of it, I think, was my crafting boxes. It was bad. If you follow me on Instagram, I was sharing some pictures of the piles and piles of crafting boxes. In fact, I'm sitting in the place where all those boxes were dumped when they came in. But for the most part, things are unpacked. As I look over, I still have not hung anything on the walls, as you see behind me. And the things that are not unpacked are boxes of photos. Like, we had gallery walls of grandkids and daughters and son-in-laws and family. And somehow when you build a home, it's very hard to put in that first nail. And so we haven't done that yet. This weekend is when I hope we're gonna do that. But we're in, and we love it. It already feels like home. I know I've told you, but we have the cutest little neighbors. Our grandkids, Graham and Ruby, and our daughter and son-in-law live basically behind us. And so that has already come in very handy. We have been able to help them a lot. They've come here and helped a lot. So it's pretty great. We live probably 20 minutes from our oldest daughter, Alyssa, and then our daughters, Emily and Julia, live a couple hours away. So they haven't been here yet, and I'm excited for them to come. But like everybody else in the country, are y'all healthy? My out-of-town grandkids have had Fist disease, flu, and COVID, and then probably some unknown viruses too, just in the past month. And then our sweet little rambunctious Ruby has had 2 sets of stitches since I last talked to you. 2 sets. One was the week that we were moving boxes, and Julia called in a panic because she had ankle replacement, Julia, Thanksgiving. And so at that point in time, she was still really on crutches, and it was hard to carry Ruby and be on crutches. And so I helped the second time get her into the urgent care to get her stitches. She's just active little girl. But enough of that. That's our move. Once I get things a little more pretty, I'll give you a tour of my craft area. Where I'm sitting right now, you can see our stairs. So when you come down our basement, right in front of me is my room that's my crafting room. And in that room I have my sewing machines and that big white piece that had my from Ballard's. Hey, if you live in the Cincinnati area, Ballard's has one of those at the outlet right now. We were there last week, and they have both pieces to it if you're interested in one. Anyway, I have a big IKEA Kallax system in that room, and then there's a closet that I have filled in that room. And then right to my right is a really large closet, and that has been filled with my cross stitch, nope, that's the wrong word, my quilting fabric. I have my knitting in there, my yarn and my projects, and I think it's gonna be good. I think this, having limited space, is going to maybe keep me more accountable, more organized. Maybe I'll buy less. I will say, since deciding to move, my haul is much smaller. And I feel like I was pretty good when I went to the attic, but I'll show you what I got. Do you want to? Let's see, let's talk about the attic. You want to? I was so fortunate to get to go to the attic for Sampler Symposium a few weeks ago. We finished, I'll say finished, loosely say finished packing the house on Wednesday night. We flew out on Thursday. I want to say that was like the 17th, somewhere in that week of January. And I went straight to the attic. I told my husband, he was like, "You want to get lunch?" "Absolutely not, sir. I must go to the attic. You have to beat the retreat crowd." And so I went, and it was everything people say it is. It is a fantastic needle workshop. The models are incredible. The ladies of the attic are incredible. It was so well run. You know, I was watching Rika from Rika's House of Stitch and Stash, and she talked about the candy of having like all the silks kitted by things, and you could just pick up your candy and pay for it at the register. And she is right. It is so much fun to shop when everything you need is right there. The fabric for that project is right there. The floss or even the DMCs were right there at your fingertips. And so I shopped. I was not planning to buy Jessie Challenor. I think that's what her name is. Let's look. I'll show you her while I'm sitting here. It's probably going to be a very unorganized film today, but it's okay. It'll all come together. Yes, Jessie Challenor by Hands Across the Sea. This had come out, I think they announced it maybe the week before, and it's fun that this is the front of what the antique sampler would look like, and then when they took it out, the back has these vibrant colors, which is what it originally looked like. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's pretty, but I probably don't need that. You know, I'm purging as I'm moving. I don't need that. When I saw the models, yes, please. That went right into my pile of things I had to buy. And people were deciding between the brights or the more muteds. I'm a muted kind of girl, so I went with the muted, but the model of this Oh, it was so beautiful. And then they had, Jean had started it. And so they had Jean's version of it, and Jean was doing it on a lakeside. I'll grab my piece in just a second and show you because I chose that. And Jean had changed the large flowers in the center to a pink instead of an orange. And I'm a pink instead of an orange girl. And so I bought this, among other things, and I immediately went and started it. And I don't always do that when I buy something new, but this just had to be started. And then speaking of Jean, it was so heartbreaking to hear the news last week of Jean's passing. I had actually seen Jean. I didn't really officially meet her at a Quilter Station retreat a couple of years ago, but maybe this fall when Graham had been in the hospital, and if you're new here, Graham is my grandson who's medically complex and is in the hospital a lot. But Jean had messaged me commenting on one of my Instagram stories. And when I saw who it was, I was like, wait, is this the Jean Lee? And she's like, it's just me. And she was so precious, telling me that she was praying for Graham. And then from then on, she would, just occasionally like or comment on something that I posted. And it meant so much, like just little old me and Jean Lee is commenting. And so Jean had been very sick during the time the Sampler Symposium had happened, and she'd been in the hospital. And so Jean made a couple of appearances. Beautiful Jean, came in her wheelchair and said hello to everyone, and it was just precious. And again, I didn't know that she would know who I was, but I was passing by and I said, hello, I'm Holly. And she goes, oh, Holly, it's so nice to meet you in person. And it was she was just a precious, precious woman, very talented needleworker, and it's a huge loss, but what a legacy Jean leaves. So to all of her friends and family, you are in my thoughts and prayers, and we will greatly miss Jean. But the attic is in good hands with those wonderful ladies of the attic, and so we wish them the best as they continue Jean's legacy. Okay, back to stitching and the attic. So let's see, we went to the hotel after we shopped. Actually, we picked up some lunch, went to the hotel, and sitting in the lobby stitching is already a cast of characters, like the who's who of the cross stitch world. Brenda from Brenda and the Serial Starter is sitting there, and she said hello, and so I came over and spoke, and we talked for a little while, and the wonderful ladies sitting at her table. I met Kim, the Contented Needleworker, in person. She is a precious, precious stitcher. Ran into her a few times. Her husband was there and my husband was there, so they met. I'm trying to think of who else that day. Sean, the Periwinkle Stitcher, was there, and I think I got to meet her that first day. It was just like, I can't believe I'm here, and I can't believe that these people I see on Flosstube are here. So it's pretty exciting. The retreat didn't start until Friday night, so husband and I like to explore, and it was a nice break between packing the house and then moving as soon as we got home. So we did some sightseeing. We went to, I think it's called the Desert Botanical Garden. Oh, having never been to Arizona, it was really incredible to see the cacti and all of the plants that are native there. It was a beautiful place. I highly recommend taking a break to go there. And then first of all, we love history, as I've probably told you before, but we also really enjoy touring a Frank Lloyd Wright home if we are in the vicinity of one. And so I had seen that Taliesin West was a pretty close site we could see. So we bought tickets and we toured that, which was incredible. Again, if you visit the attic, I highly recommend you do that as well. So we did that on Friday, and then Friday night the retreat began. I won't go into the speakers. I probably will show you the projects we were given, but oh my word, the faculty was amazing. It was just incredible, the amount of things that we were given and just the information we were given and the things I learned and that were shared, and it was just incredible. And I got to sit with my friends, Sandy and Lisa, who I learned everybody knows Sandy and Lisa. And so that was a real treat to see them. Our friend Jenny got sick and wasn't able to join us. Actually, her husband got sick, and so Jenny wasn't able to come. But my best friend Tam said, hey, I just learned that my friend Greta is there. And so Greta and I decided to sit by each other and shared texts. And Greta is precious. Stitchwork, I'm going to say it wrong, Stitchwork Designs, I believe is her shop. I'll put it in the notes below. But she has an online needle workshop, and she also does finishing. But Greta is sweet, sweet. And so we got to hang out for the weekend. When I got back to the room that night, I learned husband had gotten sick. Bless his heart. Like, we never get away. And I knew he had some cold symptoms. He had done a COVID test and he was COVID negative, but just felt cruddy all night. So the next morning, he quickly made an urgent care appointment just because the life we live with Graham, and even just moving this week, if there was anything he could, antibiotics would treat, he wanted to get on that. Anyways, it was just a virus, and he felt better by that afternoon, and he went to a ghost town, and that was a lot of fun for him, while I then was in classes all day again Saturday. Oh, it was so great. I loved it. It was great. Excuse me. And then we again had classes on Sunday, and then we flew home. I was so excited that I got to meet my Flosstube twin, Stitching with Jem, and that's Jem. She and I have messaged a lot because we started our Flosstubes on the same day, and it will be a year in just a couple days. I think she said February 11th is our Flosstube anniversary. So happy anniversary, Jem. And I got to meet her in person, and she gave me a little gift from the retreat. Her favorite color is yellow, so I grinned when I saw all the yellow things in there. I got to meet, as I said, Sean from Periwinkle Stickers. I got to meet Jackie from Comfort Stitching. I got to meet and spend some time talking to Katie Strachan. That was exciting. Brenda and Laura were there. I'm looking at my notes to see anybody else that Anna, Stitch Roadie. I've watched her forever, and she was there. I had no idea she was coming, so that was fun. And then, of course, my friend Karen, the monogamous stitcher, was there, and I love seeing her at a retreat. It's fun when we get to see each other. Who else? Roberta, Sable Stitchers, and Jules Darling. Have you watched her Flosstube? I think she just filmed her second one. She sat with Lisa and Sandy on the other side of them, which it was kind of classroom style. So, and it was very, very full. So it was kind of hard to mingle, but I got to meet Jules, and found out she grew up in the town we just moved to. So that was pretty fun. We talked about that on Instagram this week. Did I say Roberta from the Sable Stitchers? We got to talk. Who else? Plenty of other people. Plenty of really friendly stitchers around me. It was just fun talking to the people that you have such a fun thing in common with. But that was my attic trip, and I cannot wait to go back. I just saw that they shared Bristol weekend, I think is in June. So I love Bristol samplers, and might have to register for that. I think that's next week for registration for Bristol sampler. Is anybody going to that one? Anybody want to go with me? We'll see. Oh, I got the silks for Jessie Chalinar, and I'll show you how far I've come on it. These are the silks. There's a lot of silks. And I have them, these are called spool pods. I've talked about them before, and they're my favorite way to store silks because I have them in numeric order, so when I'm stitching, I can get them. They're almost the same size as ice cube trays you can get from Amazon that are shaped like this, so that the ice cubes would just fit into a water bottle. I prefer spool pods, but they're in England, so they're more expensive and harder to get, but you can also use ice cube trays if you're looking for somewhere to put your 103s. And let me show you how far I've come on Jessie. I am stitching her, as I said, I started it while I was at the attic, but then I've seen people talk about stitching a Sal in honor of Jean, and since this was the last thing Jean was working on, this is what people are choosing to stitch in honor of Jean. And so every time I pick it up, I think of her. But this is how far I've come. And those are those flowers I've changed to pink. And I don't have a lot of 103s, but I walked by them as I was unpacking and I found a pink that I thought is a perfect pink. So this is not one that is in the floss recipe, but hold on, I'll tell you what it is. It is this one, which is number 60. Isn't that a pretty pink? But last night I stitched and got just a lot of the little doodads done, and then I moved up to the top. I can tell I'm a stitch off, which you know me, I'm always a stitch off, and when I can fudge it, I do. I'm really anxious to get to those birds, but since I'm a stitch off, I decided I can double check myself and make sure I'm in the right spot if I stitch this blue line. But Jessie Challenor, and this is the fabric that Jean had chosen for hers, and it's Lakeside Sand Dunes, and this is 36 count, and they had a piece cut for it, and I just was anxious to get started on the flowers in the center, that vase. So I don't often do a center start, but I did on here, which I'm kind of miserly when it comes to fabric, so I'm probably going to be sad when I could have scooched over a little bit, but I'll make something small with any leftover bits. But that is Jessie Challenor, and it's an exclusive at the Attic, and I highly recommend stitching her. She is addicting, and she's very fun. Let's see, what else have I been stitching? Since we last spoke, I'm going to try to say it right. I have put a little bit of time in a peacock, a unicorn, and a badger. There, I said it right. This is by the Scarlet Letter, and I know you've seen it before. I've shown it, and so many people are stitching it, and it's so fun. Since we last talked, I have worked more in this area, and I think I might, I think I already had this bird done. But it's very stitch dense. So this took probably a week of stitching to get those berries and that flower in. But how vibrant and how wonderful. I'm stitching this on 40 count Pub Crawl by Roxy Floss Co. that I got from Evertote. And I'm using the DMCs. They're messy, but these are all the DMCs that I'm using. Hey Jenny, how's yours coming? Bougie Stitcher Jenny, are you getting any time on yours? Okay, there's that. Let's see, what else have I been stitching? Oh, this one. My new spot. I don't have a table in front of me like I'm accustomed to, so I'm just gonna be throwing things everywhere. The other thing I took with me to the attic to stitch on is the Humble Sampler by Mojo Stitches, which looks like this. I really like Mojo Stitches and her charts. She's a fun floss tube to watch too. So this is where I am on this. I love that it's going to be long and skinny. The little girl who stitched this really squeezed in her letters, and I thought about trying to adjust it a little bit. And I didn't, but I am finding that if I make a counting error, I'm just going with it, and that way I can spread out some things if I want to. But I really like those colors. And this is one, let's see, what am I using? Oh, the floss recipe, as Heidi from Whips and Kits calls it. I'm using the floss recipe, which are some weeks and some gentle arts, and there might be, oh, and a classic color work. So those are the flosses for that. So that is another one I have put some stitches in since we last talked. And then, I've probably said before, but I do my best purging when I move, and I find things that I had forgotten about. When I cleaned out my nightstand, I found a whip in my nightstand. This is by Chris the Camping Stitcher. Let's see if I can find, oh, I have it folded. This is by Chris the Camping Stitcher. Hi, Chris. And this is Snowman Quaker. My friend Missy from Two Needles Pulling Thread gave this to us at Stitch Away last year as a table mate gift. And we started it, I think everybody started it together then. And I think Missy gave us Tencel from Color and Cotton for it. But I can't remember what this fabric is. Girls, did we start at the same? I don't remember, but this is how far I've gotten on this. And so I picked it up, and I think this was the first thing I sat in this chair and stitched when I was unpacked, because it's cold and it was snowy at the time and it was fun to stitch on. I will show you that Missy also gave me this floss folder, Whipper Keeper, from the New England Stitcher at the same time. Oh, excuse my scissors attached to it. Okay, that's what I've been stitching. I thought I would show you a couple of previous finishes because, as I said, I've hung nothing on the wall, and I don't think I've shown you these before. And this one I want to show you because friends are doing a stitch along for it. And for once, I already had it stitched. This is, what is it called? The best, most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. This is a Lizzie Kate Unseen something. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to look that up. If you would like to stitch along, I believe Allison is stitching it. I know that Stitchy Sarah Reeds is stitching it. Michelle from Michelle E. Quilts is stitching it, and Holly Jones is stitching it. Holly and I messaged about this last night. I stitched this, I think in 2022, when a group of friends said, hey, let's stitch this together. And I love pinks and purples, so I really like it. I'm considering hanging some of my things back here, but I need one of my bossy daughters to come and tell me if I'm allowed to. If you raise 4 daughters, you just learn to obey your daughters when it comes to clothes or decorating and those kind of things. So I had thought I would put a piece of furniture in this little nook, and it just so happened that this chair, I just decided to make it my stitchy spot. It's right there by my craft area, so this may go up here. Things Unseen, that's what it's called. Things Unseen by Lizzie Kate. And you can still get the button pack. I think there are 2 accessory button packs that come with this, and I only got the one. I didn't get the second one, so I don't know if you can see that there are buttons in here, but I love this. So girls, have fun stitching this, and stitch it with them if you want to. The other thing I don't think I've shown you, this hung in my kitchen at the other house, is This Is the Day by Plum Street Sampler. I think I also stitched this in 22. Is that when this came out? I love this. Again, I love stitching houses. I love doing the bricks. This was a lot of colors. I'll also tell you that I think on this side, the charted version has goats on it, but I had stitched this goat and it ghosted a lot. And so when I saw that Jacqueline Miner had charted an adaptation to it, I contacted her, and you can do the same. I'll try to put her information down below. And she had charted adding flowers to it. And so This Is the Day by Plum Street. And again, that may go back here. We'll see. And then something I wanted to show you. Husband and I just celebrated our 42nd wedding anniversary on the 5th. And our brains are mush from moving. We're tired people. And we were getting some things out of the old house. And he said something about 43 years we've been doing something or other. And I was like, yeah, he must be talking about like when we were dating or something. And then he said again, something about our 43rd anniversary. And I said, Steve, we've been married 42 years. And he goes, no, 43, we got married in 82. I said, nope, we got married in 83. And usually I am the one who messes up numbers and math, but he was like, oh my goodness, you're right. And he'd sent me these big, beautiful flowers, which I hadn't received yet. And he had said happy 43rd anniversary on it, but it's our 42nd anniversary. thanks for the wishes on Instagram to those who wished us well. But I wanted to show you this. A friend made this for us well after our anniversary. In fact, when my brother and sister-in-law got married, at her wedding shower, she was gifted a sampler, a wedding sampler. And I said, oh, I love that. And I wasn't stitching then. And the lady who stitched it said, well, I made one for your wedding and for your sisters. I said, no, I would remember if you made one. And I was probably a brat about it, but she then, I don't know, a couple months later gifted us this. And I don't know if you can see there's beadwork in it. Her name is Kathy. And I sent her a message today and said, I just want to tell you again how much this means to me and how much I love this. I have no idea. Maybe some of you know what the chart would have been. And I've probably told you before that my mother was an artist. My mother passed away 10 years ago. It'll be 11 years pretty soon. And this was something my mother had painted. And so I think I want to find a place to hang these together here in the house. So those are some previous finishes, both of mine and then a gift I thought I would show you. And I've shown you my stitching. What else shall I show you? About the things I got at the attic. I've been a pretty good girl and I haven't been purchasing a lot. I'm sorry I'm out of the frame, as again, I don't have my table, so I'm kind of messed up. I won't show you the contents yet, but my red box, All Things Bright and Beautiful, arrived. I think I got this last week. It's great. If you're waiting for yours, it's worth the wait. Nicola from Hands Across the Sea does an amazing box. This is her third box and I have all 3 boxes. It's been hard to decide what to keep, like what's important and what's not. For example, my sewing machine boxes, I've had all of those and I decided I threw them away. That was hard, but they take up a lot of real estate. When I was moving and like, do I keep the red boxes that are empty just sitting on a shelf? And I decided, yes, they're important to me. So I have all 3 of my red boxes, but hopefully soon I'll be able to show you the contents of said red box. Okay, let's talk about this big basket of stuff from the attic. Do you want to? I know you've seen it, but this was our gift from Jean, the stitchy box. And the content, we were given the items to put in the box, and I'm sorry, mine are over in another area of the basement, but you've probably seen it on other people's floss tubes. I bought some linen, which I absolutely did not need. This Mason linen, I believe maybe is the called for linen for Jessie Challenor. And I had purchased this with Jessie, and then I found the Lakeside that Jean had stitched on. So I went ahead and got both. But this is some Mason linen, 40 count. It's a medium light. I assume haberdashery is the name of the color. Ooh, on that. Then I had some Tabby Cat. And these were colors that I hear people talk about stitching on. And so I decided to buy Through the Looking Glass, 46 count. And it just seems like a really pretty neutral. This looks pink here, but it's not really a pink. It's a pretty beige. I'm gonna have to work on my lighting, aren't I? And then I got Just the Ticket, Tabby Cat, in 40 count. I don't even know if I realized I got 2 different counts, but there's Just the Ticket, which again is just a really nice fabric. Let's go show you. Oh, I know what I did. They had Jean's stitch of Pretty in Pink by Shakespeare's Peddler. And I had not purchased this chart until I saw the attic Flosstube. I guess it was this market a year ago. So let's say less than a year ago, Jean had talked about wanting to stitch this. And I was like, okay, I love that too. So I'm gonna buy the chart, and I hadn't done anything with it. So while I was there, someone said, oh, Jean stitched it in silk and they have the conversion. Do you want to pull those? So I said, sure I do. Sorry about that sound. But I bought these 103 silks to stitch it in. And that is not true. These are Swagoblins because, is that right? sorry, Floss-a-versary. These are the thinner of the silks because I thought I'm at the attic, and even though Jean didn't tell me I had to, I need some 56 count. And so my friend and I split this 56 count seraphim, and I'm going to stitch, sorry, stick this back in the bag. I'm going to stitch this on seraphim with Jean's silk conversion. And maybe I want to start that soon. It's really pretty. I also purchased, just because it was there, and I think Mary at the attic was talking about it where I was walking by. I bought this Jeanette Douglas Blooming Bouquets, and this is number 4, and it's beautiful. The name of it is beautiful, but it is also beautiful. And I'm a sucker again for having something with a thread pack ready. And Mary was saying this is the best economical way to do this because I think it's just the amount of silks that you need. And I think it's Gloriana's. So I bought that. Oh, this is a gift for a friend. I'm not going to show you that. I kept walking past the original antique sampler of this in a chest on the floor. And the sampler is just gloriously beautiful. And I picked up the chart and I was like, I don't think I would stitch all of that. This is a GGR and Needlework Press chart, IDL 1806 and EH 1811. And this is probably what the antique looked like. But I picked it up and I put it down, and I picked it up and I put it down, and I thought, no, even if I just stitch one vase of those flowers, it would be worth it. So I got that. I got the floss kit packs for 2 of the projects that were presented. The attic gives you $100 credit to purchase floss and linen for one of the projects presented, because there are so many projects presented and people have different, stitch counts they want of linen, etc. So I love how they do this. Let's see, I bought the stitch pack for Antique Sampler Reproduction Adelaide Underwood. Now there's a lot of over 1 in this. In fact, this section right here is all over 1. And I don't mind stitching over 1, but my brain hurts reading the charts from over 1. So I may do something else there or leave that section of the chart out, because Kim, the contented needleworker, would tell me I could do whatever I want, stitch whatever I want. And then I also bought the floss kit for Jane Igor, I think is her name, 1790. So I have the silks for those. And then we were given Barbary Butcher by Hands Across the Sea, which was part of the class that Nicola taught us. As an extra gift, Nicola gave us this, which my friend Greta started, and I need to do that too. This is Susanna de Carla. I think that is beautiful. I was watching Jules Starling, and she had decided to stitch a red sampler in black because she just prefers a black sampler. And I thought, oh, I think I do too. So although I love a red sampler, I love how they look. In my home, I think I'd prefer a black sampler. So I might try that on this. Michelle from Mama Loves You GB did a great presentation, and she gave us 2 charts, PDFs actually, that they're QR code, but these are the 2 charts that she gave us. Margaret Ann Banyan, 1850 and 1852. I really, really loved the antiques of those. Jeanette Douglas. I know that you've seen other floss tubes, and so I'm not going to go into all the details, but she gave us this very large book of all of the stitches we will need to create this. Specialty stitches a la 1838 by LH. This was absolutely fantastic, and she gave us this spool that we can finish it with, and I'd really like to do that. I'm not very proficient at specialty stitches. In fact, anytime I see a Jeanette Douglas piece, I'm a little scared because I don't really know how to do them. So this will force me. We also got the linen and the NPI silks for it. If it took basically less than a whole skein, it's on this card. And if it took a skein, look how much silk is in here. So I really want to get that started. There's so much I want to stitch. Needlework Press. Vicki Jeanette and her daughter-in-law were fantastic. And this is the chart we were given after discussing the Mrs. Bentham boarding school samplers. Oh, and then she gave us, oh, I can't show you that. Well, she gave us a little donkey that we can stitch. No, it's not a donkey, is it? A little animal we can stitch. And this fabric we can make a project bag with. And then the Whitney Samplers Antiques presentation was amazing. I regret that I hadn't had the book, that I didn't buy the book in advance so that I could have her sign it. Man, I love vintage samplers so much. Okay, I got some really lovely gifts, and I won't go through all those, but I will tell you that Jackie Duplessis had a little booth set up in a pop-up shop, and Katie Strachan influences me. So I bought 2 of the mother of pearl pieces that she had. Bought this one. Hey Shelly, you probably need to order this. And this one was just so delicate. Look at this one. See the little bird? I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to display them. Katie Strachan has them on a little Christmas tree with her beautiful felt ornaments. I don't think I have that in me, but she also has a little bowl that she has them in, so I might find a little bowl for them. Let's see. This was fun. At 5 Times Blessed, she had these Civil War buttons. So I had to have a pack of those. And that's pretty much the damage I did at the attic. I thought it was pretty good. I only shopped for myself that first trip. I did not let myself go back the next day. The following day, a friend asked if I would go back for her, and I had time, and the shuttle bus was right there. So I said, sure. So I'd pick some things up, and I said, no, I'm just buying these things for my friend. So I was a pretty good girl. Okay, now, where is my knitting? Because I want to talk to you about that. Oh dear, I'm losing 100 pages. Okay, I've been knitting. As I've been moving, stitching has been more brain power than knitting has been. I'm finding that knitting is a very good, soothing, comforting. You don't have to think a lot about it, depending on what the project you're working on. So I've been making a lot of progress with some of my knits. Remember I talked about the emotional support chicken? I was trying to make it in time for my daughter's surgery. I did not make it in time for my daughter's surgery, but I did put some work in it while I was there helping her after recovery. I'm this far. I just need to knit the head and then some of the other little things that go with it. But look how far I am. This is a transition from stitching to knitting. This is yarn from Legacy Fiber Arts, and I think they still have it on their website as like a yarn set you can get. But let me see if I can find a picture of it. The Knitting Tree is who makes the chart, and this is what it will look like. Wouldn't that have been a great gift for my daughter who had a hysterectomy that she could just use on her belly when you have to laugh or cough or something? I guess it'll have to be mine now. Although I think she still wants it, so I'll still give it to her when I finish it. But I've made progress on my chicken. I started and finished one sock. This is Nomadic yarn, self-striping yarn. And then I used, I'm not sure which one this was, but this was from Sue's Advent from Legacy Fiber Arts, Sue and Chelsea. I used that for my toe and heel because I wasn't sure if I would have enough to do all self-striping. But this is the yarn I'm using for that. So I need to get back to that. I don't even think I've cast on the second sock. I don't often get second sock syndrome, so I will work on that. But I'm really close to a finish on socks that I am using from Woolens and Nosh Advent bag, which came in this. This is Michelle from Woolens and Nosh. I did a DK sock that I'm giving to my daughter, who is Pop of Color on Instagram, Alyssa, because she loves color. So I have one sock finished, and I am ready to start the toe on the other sock. And look how much exact yarn I had. This is what's left from the Advent ball of self-striping that I have. Now, Chelsea and Sue and Rachel from Treehouse Fiber Arts, and among others, have started this project. And I'm a copier, I guess, but it looked so delicious that I too had to start it. So they are using their leftovers from previous Woolens and Nosh self-striping to make this scarf. It's so soft. So what they're doing is using two yarns together, which I've never done before. This is new for me. And because I don't have any leftovers from Woolens and Nosh, I am using what are these called? Jawbreakers, is that what they're called? Self-striping yarn. This is from, I can't think of the name of her shop, but I'll link it below. And mohair from Sue from Legacy Fiber Arts. And I'm using it together, and it is amazing. Let me see if I can show you. When I started it, the first ball of, I'm using leftover sock yarn, and the first one was probably the brightness of this. Oh, here it is. Tia Bruzda, which is Tia's Terrific Threads. That's where those have come from. But this is how intense the colors were. But when you add the mohair to it, it mutes it down to this. Isn't that wild? And it's just fun using the mohair. I'm not having any trouble stitching with two strands of yarn, which I was a little scared about doing. And I think I started this on the way. This was my plain knitting on the way to the attic. So I started it then, and it's very soothing stitching. But on the way, somehow on Instagram, a reel popped up from Very Pink, Stacy with Very Pink. And I am not very good at what are these called? It's needles. Circular needles. Oh, brain. Circular needles, when I need to keep them close together, I just have a lot of ladders. So I was watching Stacy show that when you get to the end of your first needle, it doesn't matter where you go. You can just pull up a loop from the needle and go like this, and then just keep stitching in the round and never have to worry about it. It was, first of all, the most incredible timing that she showed that as I was starting this. And it took a little bit of practice, but that has been a game changer for me. So now I just knit, 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 and it is great car knitting if we're going anywhere. Well, except for the grandkids who are a minute away, but anything further than that, I grab it and take with me. I finished the first leftover ball of sock yarn, and I started the second one, which is already a little bit more muted. And I started it, I think I just have like 3 rows. So you can kind of see the difference that it's gonna be. But I love this. Vienna mitten and scarf set, I think is what this is called. I don't have the pattern with me, but I highly recommend this scarf. And I've got a long way to go, but it's gonna be fun because I'm just gonna use up self-striping yarn. And it's soft because it's mohair. I like it. And Sue and Chelsea, Legacy Fiber Arts, have a new yearly, I guess it's a club, monthly, and it's from Schitt's Creek. How fun is that? So I got it this week, and this is No You Get Murdered First. And Sue showed on her live this morning that she has started knitting with this, and it makes really fun sock. She's using the crunkled sock pattern by, I forget, I can list it below. And I have only ever done vanilla socks, but I'm gonna get brave and try the crunkled socks. I use the crunkled sock pattern for my toes, which are the umbrella toes. In fact, I can show you here. It's my very favorite toe, and I think I will probably forever use an umbrella toe. And that's where the Kay Jones, that's her name. It comes to me slowly today, doesn't it? Kay Jones, crunkled sock. And so that's what I'm gonna try when I wind this. Do you know I really missed my Swift and winder a lot when it was packed away. I was very excited when I got that out. But I'm loving knitting. And I know many of you have said that you want to give it a try. You should. You should absolutely do it. Okay, I've made a mess all around me, but thank you for being here today. Thank you for being patient with me as we moved and being excited with me as we moved. You know, as I've gone back to the old house, it was our home of 20 years. We'd had daughters get married. In fact, all 4 of our daughters got married while we were in that house, and our oldest daughter's wedding was in our backyard. So we've had beautiful things. We've welcomed grandchildren, you know, into our home there. But we've also had hard things. When our daughter was diagnosed with cancer, I remember after that month in the hospital and she was coming home, just the feelings of, how did cancer get in our house? And so we've had hard things in that house, but we have beautiful memories there. And as we've moved out, I just keep preparing myself to be like crying and sad about leaving that house. And it just feels like this was the right thing to do. Like, it was time to downsize. It was time to purge. And it was perfect to be right in their backyard so that we can help, because we are there daily. And so I'm just really thankful for that. As I close, you know, I always tell you that today is a gift. We don't know if we have tomorrow, but we are given today. So please love people well. It's important right now to love people well. And I want you to know, no matter who you are always welcome here with open arms in my Flosstube. I'll see you next time. I knew I was forgetting people. I got to see Rika again. And I know I talked about her earlier, but I got to actually ride back from the attic on Sunday with her and her friends from Country Sampler. And I got to meet Debbie from Snug Harbor Crafts, and she gave me this. Debbie was a delight. I could talk to her all day long. She was really sweet. One more thing. It is my Floss-a-versary next week. And when I was packing and purging, I have way too much. I have too many project bags. I have too many charts. I have too many needle binders. And so as I was going through my things, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to share those with you all. So probably over the next few floss tubes, I will be choosing someone, maybe a couple people. And so for this floss tube, if you will just use the word anniversary, I will send you a package with a project bag, a chart, and any other goodies I might find to add in. And some of them are gently used. Some of them were probably never used, but I just thought I would pass that along to you. Okay, the word anniversary, and remember not to use those words like giveaway or free or prize, and to be over 18. And I can't wait to put together some things for you. Bye. And thank you. Thank you for watching my floss tube. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for all the kind words when I meet you out in the wild. It just means so much that you all are so supportive and so good to me. And I'm just glad you're here, and I'm glad we're friends. Thank you.